not the Drive to Survive, but it is NASCAR's 5-part series on Netflix. It's dropped this week, Jim, and it's NASCAR's chance to, well, it's their try to get the audience that F1 grabbed with their Drive to Survive, or whatever they called it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I haven't seen it. My colleague at motorsport.com, Nick DeGroot, binge watched it as soon as it was available. He said it's good, has a lot of stuff that we already know, plus a lot of stuff that you didn't see behind the scenes. The one thing I'm great positive about, though, is that we actually have what I believe is far more interesting racing to go along with the program than F1. But I don't. I think people are too a little bit overemphasizing, worried about whether it's going to attract new fans. I don't know that people who aren't fans are just going to wander into a NASCAR documentary on Netflix unless they have at least some kind of racing interest to begin with. I just think it's important just to have another avenue to kind of showcase the sport. Maybe even relight the interest in people who haven't been watching for a while.
Well, and the thing that we always know, that Dustin, is that people love to have the curtain lifted. They love to see behind the scenes things they don't have access to. That's why Entertainment Tonight and Hollywood Behind the whatever all these shows are, that these entertainment shows. That's why they're successful, because people want to know what life is like behind the curtain. And I think that's what this show can offer them that would be better than maybe NASCAR Wives.
Yeah, so I've seen the majority of the episodes. I haven't seen all 5 of them yet. And I'm going to sound like a homer, but I think it's really good. I think the authenticity that we get through the characters, and I don't want to spoil anything if people haven't watched it yet, but the authenticity that we get throughout the whole show is really good.
Well, we do know who won the championship last year, Dustin.
True. We do know that.
Well, a lot of people went and watched the movie Titanic, and they already knew the ship was going down.
But the access, what Brett brought up, yeah, you do lift the curtain, you get into their daily lives away from the track, and I feel like that's the closest thing that we've seen yet to see what it's like to be a race car driver and to be one of these drivers, full time on the NASCAR Cup Series circuit. So, yeah, I think it's really good. And I don't want to spoil anything because I do.
Well, I have a question for you, Dustin, since you watched part of it. Would you consider it the presentation, not so much the racing part, but the other stuff, authentic? Does it come across as authentic?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it was none of it was staged.
Yeah.
You could see in a lot of Ryan Blaney, for instance, like we mentioned, the champion, he doesn't get introduced really until the third part of the 5-part series, but that's when he gets hot, in the season at Talladega and throughout the rest of the season. So, you're kind of riding that wave with him and with his girlfriend at the time, now fiance. And it just brings you into that. It gives you all the access that you would want. And yeah, not staged at all.
Yeah, we all know, as I alluded to at the very beginning here, what really kind of prompted this, I'm sure, is the F1 success they had with Drive to Survive. So that makes me wonder, is NASCAR late to the party here?
I don't think so. I think it's from the NASCAR perspective, I look at it more as a kind of additional bonus on what is already a good product. I think the problem that Drive to Survive?
Survive, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Has is that there's a lot of people who have watched the series and really enjoy it, but then go to the races and don't get the same satisfaction from the actual racing product. I think in this case, you have a racing product that is, for the most part, considered pretty entertaining and what generally draws the headlines and the things that come out of what happens on the track. And this I see as sort of a bonus supplement to give, as Dustin talked about a behind the scenes, and you talked about a behind the scenes, sort of like an additional bonus. The going forward would be my bigger question. Does this continue? Because then you have an opportunity to kind of use it as also a promotional type of thing. But I haven't heard any indications as to whether it's a one-time thing or what, but maybe it depends on the reception, which so far, anyway, seems to be good.
Dustin, do you agree with Jim that NASCAR is not late to the party here, that it doesn't matter?
I do agree with Jim. You look at other sports like the PGA, I think it was Full Swing, and then the NFL had one with, I think it's called Quarterback on Netflix. I haven't watched either one. I've seen like parts of them, but and I think they got their idea kind of off of Drive to Survive as well, and saw what it did for Formula One. Now, like Jim said, I don't want to again sound like a homer, but NASCAR's product is a lot better than Formula One. So, and I've talked to, here in Central New York, like outside of Watkins Glen, racing is not huge, outside of like dirt racing and whatnot. But you'll have occasional people talk about Formula One and how they got introduced to it, and it's always through Drive to Survive. And obviously, that's only been through the last 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, I think NASCAR, the reception of this is so far, all I've seen is positive, and I do think it'll help with a lot of good publicity for sure. But I also don't think that. How do I word this? I don't know. I don't think, this is just an addition to the product that NASCAR has. And I would like to see it like a full season kind of dynamic where you're following these characters for the whole year and kind of their journey, if they're battling around the points bubble, if there is one, when we come to Darlington at the end of the regular season, all the way through the championship, kind of how we saw it with this 5-part series.
Would they need to do the different set of drivers the next time around? Or can you continue to tap into the same drivers?
So that's a good point. I guess I'll spoil this. Denny Hamlin's a star, and then the first few episodes of this, up until he gets eliminated at Martinsville. So I do think this is going to get him a lot of good feedback, and I think a lot of people are going to kind of latch on to his bandwagon. Or if people think he's too arrogant, too cocky, whatnot, then maybe they'll root against him like they do every week at the track anyway. So, yeah, I think.
So, in your opinion, will television change Denny Hamlin's perception, Dustin?
I think Denny's pretty authentic as it is. So.
You're telling me that Denny is better in this show than everybody else's drivers?
I guess he was right when he said at Bristol he beat them all.